Hello, welcome to another Black Horizons program. I'm your host, Hamid, Rasheed. We're glad that you could take time out from your busy schedules to join us once again. From the 11th to the 10th to the 15th of July of this year, the International Association of Official Human Rights Agencies will be holding their 34th annual conference in Halifax. In today's program, I'll be talking to Carolyn Thomas of the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission about the conference program. Carolyn, I want to welcome you to the Black Horizons program.
Thank you very much.
The International Association of Official Human Rights Agencies, and that's really a mouthful. Even when you abbreviate the name, it still leaves you with a mouthful. Could you tell us something about the International Association of Official Human Rights Agencies? What is this group?
Okay, better known to us, to make it a little short, IORA.
IORA.
But you're absolutely right, yes, in the name. It is a non-profit organization that has headquarters in Washington, D.C., and it was founded in 1949. The goal of IORA is twofold. Number one, it is to foster better human relations, and two, to enhance existing human rights procedures under the law. It has become very active in the United States for some time and maintains ongoing liaison with the federal agencies involved in civil rights enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
To name but a few.
Right. Now, it says International Association. Is it predominantly an American-based organization? The headquarters you mentioned are in Washington, but does it have affiliates from all over the world as part of the group, like human rights agencies in, say, Europe and other parts of the world?
Yes, it does. The majority, as you stated, are from the United States of America, but it is truly international. And we are pleased to understand that since we have been hosting or planning to host it this year, that there have been several other agencies, Canadian and otherwise, who have taken out membership in the international.
Well, now, I understand that this is only the second time in the 34-year history of the association that a meeting of this kind has been held in Canada. How was it that the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission was able to become the host of this August group in Halifax?
Well, our director, Dr. George McCurdy, has been attending and been affiliated with the International for some years now. And in fact, I believe that shortly after his coming to Nova Scotia, and of course been very, very interested in the area. So last year the conference was held in Dayton, Ohio, and he and I traveled there intending to ask that the conference be brought here in 1983. Prior to going, we had contact with the Premier and Twin City mayors and different people in the business community and told them of our plans, and they were very excited about it and thought that it would be something that would be very profitable for our province. So we traveled there and made a presentation to the international executive. And to our surprise, they came back and asked us if we would consider hosting it in 1982. So we made a few contacts, and we're glad to be able to receive it. I must say that there were several other agencies that were requesting it also. And so we had to really make an appeal, but we're very happy that it's coming here.
But I think it would be fair to say that the conferences of this nature don't just sort of happen out of the blue. It takes quite a bit of lobbying, I would imagine, in terms of it's quite a feather in the cap of the provincial commission, I would think, that it's been able to convince the international organizations that they should hold their conference in Halifax.
Yes.
Well, now, Carol, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about we were going over the program a little bit earlier, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of the logistical aspects of the program. How many delegates are you expecting to be in Halifax participating in the conference?
We're expecting anywhere from 200 to 300 delegates, and a lot of the people have already pre-registered, so it has certainly taken shape in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, what's the venue of the conference? Where will it be held?
Okay, the conference hotel is the Hotel Nova Scotian.
Yes.
But activities will be taking place in the city of Dartmouth, for instance. The Tuesday morning session will be held there, and there will be a breakfast meeting there, for instance, that will be co-sponsored by the mayors of the cities of Halifax and Dartmouth. From there, we'll be journeying to the Sportsplex, and the public, by the way, is invited to attend.
Now, is the entire conference open to the public, or is it only participation by official delegates?
No, the conference is open to the public, the workshops and luncheons, etc., but at a price. Now, if individuals wanted to attend on a daily basis, it would be $15 per day.
Yes.
If they wanted to attend the business and industry session, which is on Thursday, and we'll probably get into in greater detail later, would be $85 for that day. For the member organizations, it's $110 membership, and that would include luncheons, etc., for the whole week. And for non-member organizations, it would be $140.
So if there are individuals or organizations in the Halifax-Dartmouth area who would want to take part in the program, and we'll be talking a bit about the program a little later, then who should they contact? The Human Rights Commission here in Halifax?
Yes, the Nova Scotia Human Rights Commission.
Right. Well, now, it appears that the conference, it's a week-long affair, but it seems as though there are really two conferences in one. Could you tell us a little bit about, like, there's the Industry, Trade, and Commerce conference, and then there's the other part of the program? Right.
It is a tradition with the international that they have it this way, and the previous part of the program will incorporate many topics like education and so on. Then on the Thursday, it's where they will really concentrate on the businesses within the community and outside, and get together for healthy discussion and dialogue there.
Well, now, I wonder if I could get you just to go into some of the detail of the program, and perhaps you could highlight some of the main things that are going to be take place as part of the program for the week's activities.
Delegates will be starting to come from perhaps at Friday night, whereas on Saturday there will be Board of Directors meetings held. Then on Sunday, there will be orientation session for new member agencies and delegates. Also, there will be regional meetings held on that particular day. Then in the evening, there will be the president and an Atlantic reception. And the reason for this is, as you previously mentioned, this is only the second time that it has been held in Canada.
Yes.
And it may be a while before we will get it again.
Yes.
And we wanted to share this honor. And what we have done is extended it to the other Atlantic provinces and said, well, why don't you come in and help us to co-host? And they have agreed to do that. And on this particular night, they will be sharing with us. And we will be having that reception at the Chateau Halifax. Now, that unfortunately has to be by invitation only, as it will be with some of our functions that are being held. As you can appreciate, space and that number of delegates, that has to be a consideration. On Monday, there will be open and plenary sessions in the conference hotel, and the normal greetings that take place at most conventions. That will be declared open, by the way, by our minister, the Honorable Lord Sterling, was the minister in charge of the administration of our Human Rights Act. In the afternoon, prior to that, there will be a president's luncheon, and the speaker for that particular luncheon will be the Honorable Yvonne Bone, who is Canada's representative to the United Nations Human Rights Commission and Canada's ambassador to the Holy See. In the afternoon, there will be several concurrent workshops held on topics such as the international human rights and its application to domestic agencies, and there will be panel discussion. In the evening, we will be having a Nova Scotia night, which will be the host night. And we have been approached by several organizations within the community saying, look, we understand the magnitude of this conference and we would like to be a part of it. So 7 of the ethnic groups within our community have agreed to put on an ethnic buffet dinner, and we will have some entertainment there. That will take place from 6 to 8:30 at the Dalhousie Arts Center, which is also Rebecca Cohen Auditorium. That, again, will be by invitation only.
I see.
But at 8:30, we'll be having the group War in, and that's going to be in the Rebecca Cohen Auditorium. And that will be open to the general public at a price of $15 and $13. We are encouraging the public to take part in this because it will afford them the opportunity to meet with many of the delegates there and to have some interaction and dialogue. I would, however, encourage people, if they are planning to go, that they should get their tickets soon, either through Rebecca Cohen box office or touch base with our commission, because tickets are going rather fast and seats are limited, and you can imagine that with this number of delegates and their spouse, that there won't be too many left.
Now, when you say 13, 15, that's per person now.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Then on the Tuesday, the morning session, as I mentioned, will be happening in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and the breakfast meeting will be there prior to. So the sessions will actually get underway at 10 o'clock in the Dartmouth Sports Center. That part of the conference is being coordinated by our own Dr. P.A., better known to us, I guess, as Tony Johnson,
Yes.
who is the Director of Ethnic Services for the province of Nova Scotia. And he will be assisted by Dr. Dorothy Porter, who is Director of the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. There will be a series of workshops going on also on affirmative action in education, on skills for the educator, and the role of human rights agencies in education. Then for that particular luncheon, we will be honored with the presence of our own Minister of Education, the Honorable Terence Donoghue. Then in the afternoon, we will be returning to the Conference Hotel in Halifax, and a series of workshops will be taking place there. Workshops such as the emergence of hate groups and processes for their neutralization, which will be chaired by our own chairman or executive director, Dr. George McCurdy.
Carolyn, I understand that following the afternoon workshops that there's going to be a lobster dinner held somewhere. Is this something that's going to be open for the public to participate in?
No, unfortunately it isn't. Perhaps that's why I didn't mention it when I was talking about that day's activities. It is really going to be the province of Nova Scotia extending their hospitality in another way, and give the delegates an opportunity to try some of our delicious seafood that they've heard so much about. So unfortunately, it's only for the delegates.
Well, now, as we go through this, I notice that there's going to be a number of locations for the conference. There'll be some activities held in Halifax and some activities held in Dartmouth and so on. So it's going to be very, very important for people who are interested in participating in the program to make sure that they check and get a program so they can follow where the conference is going, because there isn't any single site for the conference. People are going to be going back and forth.
Right. Most of the activity, however, will be at the Hotel Nova Scotian.
I see.
But I think Tuesday is the only day where people will be traveling to Dartmouth. For instance, on Wednesday we'll return to Halifax again, or in Tuesday afternoon, and then Wednesday where we'll continue our series of workshops. And on that particular day, we'll be talking about Native Indians and human rights issues, and we'll be having case histories given. There'll also be some discussion on Canadian case law update, and again, concurrent workshops on prevention and enforcement of sexual harassment legislation, survival tactics for human rights agencies in the 80s, and contract compliance and minority and women business enterprise program.
So
that evening is going to be something that will be rather interesting as well. There's going to be a soul food dinner served for delegates and friends, And that is going to be co-hosted by the Cornwallis Street Baptist Church,
Yes.
who is observing their 150th anniversary this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we were really pleased about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, I know that at this dinner there's going to be of course, there'll be a number of prominent individuals who will be coming to participate in the conference throughout the week. But one of an individual that's very, very well known in the black community in the United States is the Dr. Leon Sullivan. I understand he'll be speaking at this dinner as well. We hope maybe to have Dr. Sullivan on our Black Horizons program to talk to him a bit about some of the things that he's involved in the States. But I wonder if perhaps, not to preempt that program, but I wonder if perhaps I could get you just to tell us a little bit about the background of Dr. Sullivan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Reverend Sullivan is a director with General Motors Corporation, and I think that is a very unique position for somebody of black origin to be in. Reverend Sullivan is also the pastor of the Zion Baptist Church in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
He has written a book on employment practices, and it is entitled The Sullivan Principles, and it's aimed at improving the lot of black workers. He concedes that even though there has been a lot of work done already, there is still a lot of work yet to be done. In that book, the principles are pledged to integrated eating and working in toilet facilities, observation of equal and fair employment practices, providing equal pay for equal work, start training programs to prepare blacks for supervisory and administrative jobs, and so on. I think it would be interesting to know that in 1963, Reverend Sullivan was cited by Life magazine, and that's a magazine that I think we all recognize, as one of the 100 outstanding young adults in the United States of America. Dr. Sullivan has founded the Opportunities Industrialization Center, a program sponsoring training and retraining on a massive scale, and the first program of its kind in the history of the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
He has been involved in progress clubs for senior citizens.
Yes.
Manners have been established as a result of his efforts, shopping centers, and so many different things. And his program has really been looked at and then implemented in all parts of the United States, and has also extended outside to Africa.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's very involved, as I understand it, with the community kinds of economic development. A lot of what he does involves the community in a very direct kind of way.
That's right, economic development and also urban planning. He is very involved in that as well.
So it's going to be very interesting to have a person of his caliber in our province. Hopefully we'll be able to get him to appear as our guest on the Future Black Horizons program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we've gotten up to Wednesday as part of the program. Perhaps I took you off of the program. Maybe I should have you go back now and sort of give us an indication of what the balance of the program will be for the conference.
Okay, on Thursday, we're going to be having the business and industry session, and we have a lot of input from people within our province and Canada, as well as the United States. The workshops are going to be on the enforcement of sexual harassment legislation, on legislation for the disabled, on understanding systemic discrimination, on the initiation and implementation of effective affirmative action and contract compliance, on women and minority business enterprise, and also on accessibility for the disabled. And some of the people that will be taking part in that will be Doug Eddy, who is Director of Personnel for Sobeys, whom we're familiar with, Gordon Loomis, who is the General Manager of the Halifax Board of Trade, Judge Sandra Oxner. Also, some of the presenters for those workshops will include Baroness Betty Lockwood from the United Kingdom, Homer Floyd, who is Secretary-Treasurer of the International Convention and also Director of the Pennsylvania Human Rights Commission, Dr. William Charles, who is with the Dalhousie Law School, Uh, Reverend Sullivan will be the keynote speaker for that luncheon. And if I may here state that if there are people who are interested in attending that luncheon but not interested or don't have the time really to spend the whole day, they can attend that luncheon at the price of $20. There may be some individuals or even groups who would like to send somebody, because I'm sure that there will be a lot that they can learn and a lot that he can share with us. Also, Alan Carell, who is the planning committee chairman for the International, will be presenting at that time. And also James Durkin, who is the Canadian advisor to the United Nations on Disabled Persons.
So there's really a wide cross-section of people who will be participating in the conference. There's an awful lot of workshops that will be held covering an awful lot of areas that are of current interest, I'm sure, to many people in the local community. We're talking about participants. I meant to ask you earlier, when the conference was being planned, I had heard some rumor that there was a possibility that Coretta King and possibly even Jesse Jackson might also be coming to participate in the conference. But was that a rumor, or had they in fact been considered at one point in time to attend the conference?
Well, there were several names that had been suggested, and indeed theirs were among those who were suggested. Contact was made with the Reverend Jesse Jackson in hope that he would be able to come, and therefore, while he had hoped that he would be able to come. Unfortunately, there is something going on of major concern with Operation Push, which he is the head of, and he will not be able to come. But perhaps at another time we will be able to have him with us. As far as Coretta Scott King, that name was suggested. I'm not certain that she will not be here. There is always hope that perhaps she may come, but I really can't say that now. The people on the outside would like it, we would like it, but that depends on her schedule. As we know, she is very involved in the area of civil rights because of her previous activity and commitment, and also that of her husband, the late Dr. Martin Luther King.
So there's some possibility that she just may show up as a delegate, is what you're saying.
There's always that possibility.
Right, okay. Well, Carolyn, as I said earlier, this is really quite a significant gathering of people who are involved in various aspects of human rights from not only North America, but indeed across the world. In your view, what do you think the significance of a conference of this type would be for a community like Halifax, Dartmouth?
Well, really, I think that there is so much that we can learn from each other. And sometimes when you're involved in conferences like this, it not only affords the opportunity for you to see what is happening abroad, but even to focus in on and appreciate those things that are happening home. I think that when you go there, you hopefully go with a clear mind and open to all kinds of things that you will receive. And I think that it's going to afford us a fantastic opportunity to do just that, to exchange and to figure, well, perhaps we're not really that bad off in this particular area, but say there's something that we may be able to adapt and use here in our own province. So that in itself is wealthy.
Right. Well, now, you mentioned that you had attended the 33rd annual convention last year in the United States.
Right.
Was that your first conference as part of this group?
Yes, it was.
And what impact did that conference have on you?
Oh, it really had quite the impact, because when I was asked to go, I was, of course, very excited about the idea of going to Dayton and having an opportunity to find out what was happening in other areas. However, when I got there and I then realized that, I don't know anybody here, and perhaps I made a mistake by telling Dr. McCurdy that I would agree, I would love to go along, maybe he should take somebody else. But after I was there for a few hours, I then realized that there was so much that I had in common with those other people, and that there was so much that I would like to know about the way they were operating, so that I could come back here and look at our program, and that from time to time I would be able to liaise with them and we could exchange information. And just that alone was a very priceless opportunity for me, and I really appreciated it. In fact, I would encourage anybody that has an opportunity to go and that they should take advantage of these and other conferences.
Hmm. I guess you didn't contemplate last year when you went to the conference for the first time that you'd be so involved in organizing the next conference that's going to be held here in Halifax.
No, you're right. But it's a learning experience, and I've really enjoyed every bit of it.
I guess it must have taken you an awful lot of work to put together a conference of this size. How long ago did you start the planning?
Well, really, we started it prior to going to Ohio last year because we were thinking if we can get it in 83, where can we hold it? You know, what facility is large enough? And can we get hotel space to accommodate all of the people? So it was really a lot of homework that had gone into it prior to that so that we could justly make that request. And then after coming back and Dr. McCurdy related to the rest of the staff and other people who cooperate with us, everybody has really been gung-ho. We've set up in-house committees, and we have transportation committee, we have a soul food dinner night committee, we have a committee for just about everything. And in addition to having our own staff involved in it, there are people on the outside who are willing and are getting involved in helping us too in any little way that they can, and given so much moral and financial support, really, that it's just wonderful to see that the people in our province are just beautiful people and are so willing to go ahead.
Well, now, how much flexibility did you have in terms of setting the program for the conference? Was that something that you did in consultation with? Was it done solely here in Halifax, or was something that was done in consultation with the executive or other people as part of the association?
Yes, it was done cooperatively with the international level, and they have planning chairman who is Alan Carell from
Yes.
Seattle, and he has been here on a few occasions and worked with us, and he was the liaison between us and the executive. Also, the president of the international was here on one occasion, Bobby Butler, and worked with us. So it has been constant contact all of the time, and the things that are done have been done on a very cooperative basis, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Well, Carolyn, I want to thank you for being our guest on the Black Horizons program. It sounds like a very exciting conference. I hope that a number of people in Halifax, Dartmouth will take advantage of the opportunity to, as you say, share ideas and views with a number of people who are very, very involved in this important area of human rights. We want to wish you and all of your colleagues the best of luck for the conference. Just before we sign off, I have a public service announcement that I'd like to share with you. The Association of Black Social Workers has invited all of the viewing audience of the Black Horizons program to attend an open house for their Opportunities for Women project on Tuesday, June 29th, 1982, from 4 to 7 p.m. This will be held at 56 Albany Drive in Dartmouth. We want to thank you for being our guest today. Join us next week, won't you? Hello, welcome to another Black Horizons program. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm your host, Hamid Rasheed. Today we'll be discussing some perspectives on education with Brad Barton, who is the principal of the Creighton Junior High School and the past president of the Black Educators Association. Brad, welcome to the Black Horizons program.
Thank you.
We know that fall is a time when people get ready for kids to go back to school, and of course many of us are familiar with what's involved with that from a parent's point of view, in the sense of having to buy new clothing and school books and so on. But I don't think many of us have an appreciation of what is involved on the other end of the system, getting ready for the kids in the school. Could you give us some idea of what is involved from a principal's perspective in terms of getting ready or for another school term?
Well, I think it starts at the end of the school year in June, when all the students are free for vacation, the last day of school, and also the staff members. The principal was responsible for getting the enrollments of the student body for the upcoming year into proper classes. And that takes a long period of time because he usually works with the guidance counselor or the vice principal of the school, taking into consideration all the recommendations from the staff of the feeder schools and the staff of the school. If students are in grade 8, for example, moving in grade 9. And basically, to place students, we must try to put them in an environment whereby we're not streaming them so much, so that like all the top ones are in one section and all the students with the lower skills in another section. In our school, for example, we have one group at each level. It's an enriched group, but we're also, for the remaining 7 or 8 classes at that grade level, students are mixed as far as abilities are concerned. Hopefully those that are highly motivated will encourage the other students to produce academically. But on top of that, you have to have a timetable set up for the students. And when you're into a junior high or secondary level, basically, if you have 20 or 30 classes,
Yes.
these students must be put into a timetable. And as well, the staff members must be put in a timetable according to the students and the level of the students and the subject areas. So that takes, that's time consuming to get it into operation. As well, we have to have materials ready for students before coming. For example, we have policy guidelines which outlines the procedures for the students while they're in school on a regular basis and throughout the year. These booklets also include work study habit skills and roles of the administration and the staff. And this information is put in the booklet and sent home to parents, so parents are well aware of what's happening in the school on a regular basis. As well, we have to have things ready as far as alignment for classrooms, like homeroom classes, getting the classroom prepared for the students, a proper number of seats, getting the proper decor in the classroom that will identify the subject area that the teacher will have in that particular room. Distribution of keys and getting locks ready for the lockers as the students will have. Getting the textbooks ready, class sets as well as individual textbooks for all the students. Meeting with the department heads to ensure that the staff in each department are prepared for the work that will be covered for each term and throughout the year, like a yearly plan. There are just so many things that one has to do in order to get the staff ready for the students entering on the first day, and this year was on the 7th.
Mm-hmm. So then, with all of that work done, there's the popular myth of the school principal being off playing golf all summer or on vacation. Does that hold true? Do you get any time to yourself over the summer? Or?
Well, we try to take advantage of the time we have.
Yes.
Usually we have at least 1 week after the closing of school, and we usually come in at least 2 weeks to 3 weeks prior to the beginning of school in the fall. So the time in between we have off for vacation, like other people having vacation in other jobs.
I see. Well, now we've been given a fairly good idea from the remarks that you've just made in terms of the at least the work that's necessary in terms of getting ready for a school year. How would you summarize the role of the main role of a principal in the school system? You've told us what's necessary in terms of getting the classes going and so on, but how would you summarize, what's your view of the role of the principal in the school system?
Well, there are many, but I think probably the main areas is that the principal must be a curriculum leader in the school to ensure that the quality of education that's taking place in the classroom is at a high level or standard. And to do that, he must be able to communicate and work very closely with the staff, who is presenting the information to the students, and to ensure to set the guidelines in the school that proper behavior exists in the classroom, and that there's a good line of communication between the student and to staff, and staff to the administration of the school. But I think another important role is the public relations, which must take place. The communication between the school and the community, the parents. Naturally, the best public relations vehicle would be the students who are going home on a regular day-to-day, and once they get home and sitting around the supper table, they're talking about what's happening in the school. If they are talking about things that are positive in the school, then I think it makes for an attitude on behalf of the parents is something that they're looking forward to their child attending their school. So you have to have a program that's going to stimulate a child's mind mentally. There also has to be activities that's going to develop a child socially, so that they know how to deal with the real world once they get out of school, and also physically. So we try to have those three components in setting up the guidelines for the school. But I would say the main thing is giving academic direction to the staff and to the students to ensure that there's a high quality of education.
How much can the personality of an individual principal make itself felt in the school system? How much flexibility do you have, or are you more or less, is the program more or less prescribed, or can you put your own individual touch on is what I'm really asking, I guess?
Well, we're lucky in our system in Halifax County. We have that flexibility. Naturally, you have to follow the guidelines that are outlined by the Department of Education that all schools in the province of Nova Scotia must adhere to. But there's flexibility within that. And I think that as chief administrator or principal in a school, you have that option to establish the philosophy that you feel is necessary for the community in which the school is serving.
Yes.
And if there's a need in a particular area, then you have to address that need. So you have to set up programs that's going to improve
Yes.
on the problem area, if that is, or to maintain and improve the high quality that already exists in the school. When you're talking about 600 students, you have quite a variety of levels of ability and personality, and so therefore you got to try to set up programs that's going to be suitable to your students. It may be different in one respect with another school, but generally you'll have the same objectives. But the style that one may have,
yes.
Some may use an approach where it's fairly direct, whereas others may use an approach where you try to motivate and to get your staff to be enthusiastic, and as a result getting your student body to be enthusiastic, and so that they enjoy the environment. And once they enjoy an environment, then more than likely they'll perform higher than they would if they just like coming to the building. So I think my style would be basically trying to make the environment something what students would like to come to. And my staff is energetic, a group that works very hard to work with the student, not only in the classroom, but also outside the classroom, and with activities in the various from interscholastic activities, sports activities, to drama, to debating, to chess.
Yes.
So when you get that variety, students get to see the members outside the classroom. They see them as an individual as opposed to just being a figurehead in front of the classroom.
Yes.
And then when you get that rapport,
Yes.
then I think it adds to the atmosphere in the school. And if you can get the enthusiasm, then I think you have a chance of trying to reach the objectives of trying to develop a good, strong academic program in the school.
Right. Well, Brady, turning to you as an individual, how long have you been teaching now, and how long have you been acting as a principal? When did you get your principalship?
Well, this is my 6th year as a principal, and prior to that I was a vice principal for 5 years, and prior to that 3 years as a department head, and then a regular classroom teacher. So I'm in my 18th year now, and I've been in teaching only in Halifax County. I taught at North Preston for 1 year, and in Bedford Junior High School for 3 years, Sir Johnny McDonald High School for 3 years, Creighton High School as vice principal for 5 years, and now 6 years at Creighton Junior High.
I'm sure many people who know you must be surprised to know that you've had that many years in the system. You must have been born at a very early age. But you don't look to be much more than the 18 years that you've been teaching in the system.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I must add for the benefit of our viewers that you didn't pay me to say that. Well, Brady, you have been in the system for about 18 years now. What is your assessment of the opportunities for upward mobility for black teachers in the system?
Well, I think if you look back a number of years, there were not that many black teachers in the system. I think, too, because there were not many role models at the administrative level, the aspirations that those that were in the system were not that high to try to reach that level. Now, I know as an educator, I know it's very important that when we're dealing with schools where they're integrated schools, it's important to have the role models on both sides of the population of the school.
Yes.
And the more that we have, I think is better for the philosophy of integration. That is that they can contribute to both segments of the population. But it's very important that those that are involved in that, black teachers, have to be top-notch teachers, enthusiastic and qualified to teach. So I think the main thing is that we don't want to get to the point of having black teachers in the system just because they are black, but they're in the system because they are competent in a certain subject area and they have the attitude and philosophy that would be advantageous for all students, black and white students that they may be teaching. I think that's very important, as you don't segregate your ideas just to the population that you're used to. But I think that over the years there have been very few black administrators in the province. Mm-hmm. At one point I think there were maybe 4 in the province, and I think 10 years ago there were maybe 1 or 2. Now I think there are 4 now, including myself. So without a doubt, there's a drastic need to try to encourage more black qualified educators to apply for positions that may become available at the administrative level, regardless if it's elementary, junior high, or senior high. Because I think they do have a lot, or we do have a lot to offer. Mm-hmm. And given the opportunity, I think we're as capable as any other group to rise to the challenge. And I would like to encourage more to apply. See, the problem sometimes is that the opportunity may be there, at least at the initial stages, and if their black educators are not applying for the positions, then it's very difficult at least pursue the idea of getting more involved.
Right. Well, now the 4 that you mentioned, would these be people who are predominantly in the metropolitan area, or are they spread in different areas across the province? Do we have any principals outside the Halifax, Dartmouth area?
Well, to my knowledge, there's only 1 outside, and we have a number that would be vice principals in the school.
Yes.
A number meaning roughly maybe 10.
Yes.
But the other ones would be in the Halifax, Dartmouth area.
Right. Well, that was another question I was going to ask you, that the principal is one level, and when we look at across the educational spectrum, do we have many that are, well, you mentioned several at the vice principal level. What about at the department head level? Are blacks fairly represented across the full spectrum in the system?
Provincially, I would say no.
Yes.
I would say that there's a move in the metropolitan area to try to increase the number. And we have many competent, qualified people in particular subject areas that would qualify for the job. And there is a move to try to encourage more to be involved. The thing of it is, if you're going to move up from one level to the next, it's
Yes.
important to have a good sound base as a competent classroom teacher.
Yes.
Or a specialist teacher. And then you should move to get some background on the administrative level, so a department head is a good second step.
Yes.
and then you can move and learn what would your responsibilities would be at the next level, which would be vice principalship. And at that level, it's very, very important because you have to deal more with the discipline of the school, try to motivate students, also try to work at the curriculum level and to motivate the staff. And once you get that background, with that good training, I think you should be able to do well as a top administrator, as a principal of school.
Right. Well, we hear a lot these days about the Walker Commission report on education. I'd like to ask you your general assessment of the report, whether or not you feel it's going to be good or bad for education in Nova Scotia. And then secondly, what you think the impact, if any, will be on black teachers in the system as a result of the recommendations that are contained in the Walker report.
That's a good question, and if we start discussing the Walker Commission, we could talk for a long while, as you know. I know the Black Educators Association, we had an opportunity to study because it's something that's is relevant to us,
Yes.
And we should know what's in it.
Yes.
I think if you look at the areas outside of the urban areas, in smaller areas, it may work out to be very positive because of the fact that they're able to amalgamate smaller boards into larger boards, which probably, in a sense, will probably utilize the resources better.
Mm-hmm.
It may take away from the local impact that the people in the communities may have in relationship to what's being taught in their school, their small community. But overall, it may spread out the resources so that the smaller communities or the isolated areas will receive more of the specialists, resource people that are available, which they may not have at present. The problem comes when you get to an area such as ours, where it's so large, like in our area. I know it's at least 1,500 teachers,
Yes.
roughly in that vicinity. That's a large number.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're talking, there are areas where there's high move of people from the city to the country,
Yes.
or to the county areas. And as a result, you will see that the number of teachers are required for the growth areas. And if they start, if they're cut back, then it makes it very difficult to continue on with the program, which many people, black and white, have been fighting for over a number of years to try to increase the high quality. When you start losing resources, naturally you have to lose something in the program. And it takes a lot of innovation and hard work to maintain that level without the resources. Because specialist people are very important to deal with the needs, especially those that require extra assistance.
Yes.
You have to work in small groups, and you have to bring them to a level that they feel satisfied and they feel confident that they can do the work at the grade level. Once they get that feeling, the inhibitions are gone, and as a result, they can perform at a fairly fast pace. Most people that find difficulty in classrooms is not because they haven't got the ability; it's that they haven't got the basic skills, or nor the motivation. And as a result, if you haven't got the motivation, it's very difficult to try to challenge the student.
Mm-hmm.
But once they realize they can do it, and have the confidence they can do it,
Yes.
then more than likely they'll succeed very quickly.
Well, now, what's your assessment as an administrator in a large system like the Dartmouth? I think it's the Dartmouth subsystem that you're in.
Eastern Suburban.
Eastern Suburban system that you're in, where you have communities where there is a tremendous need for special education. Do you feel that as I understand the Walker report, that the school units are going to have to take a lot more responsibility for financing their program? Is that going to adversely affect your system, do you think?
Well, I think that the senior management in Halifax County are attempting to maintain and increase the quality of education which presently exists. And there's been a great improvement in Halifax County over the last 15 years, no doubt about it. I mean, I've
Yes.
been through the system, and I can see the improvement in the promotion of students and the level that they're able to attain. And there, for example, if you're in the black community, there are so many more black students that are qualifying, that are reaching a high level of achievement, and at the grade level. And I feel that it's very important that the senior management, along with community and also in the white community, because the integrated school, that means the students come from all communities. So that it has to be that community pressure, if you want to put it that way, to ensure that we maintain what we have. And in times of constraint, I realize that there has to be certain areas that has to be cut back, but let's select those areas that would be less detrimental to the educational programs that we presently have. And I think, with a little bit of innovation, it's possible for us to continue along and improve upon what we have, even with some cutbacks. But it's going to mean a lot more hard work on behalf of the teaching staff, but also it's going to mean a lot more hard work on behalf of the parents at home. They have to do more with their child at home in order for them to be successful in school. And let's face it, we have that. That is the best situation anyhow, is that the child understands that they have to continue on with their work while at home, if you want to call it homework, and to do a lot of reading at home, and to have activities or games that are more for the manipulative skills. That is the type of thing that has to be done in the home environment, and that can be transferred very easily into the classroom. And if there are going to be cutbacks, then I think that message has to get across to the communities, as well as to all the educational people in the system, that cohesiveness has to take place between the community and the school.
Well, I'd like to draw upon your experience as a teacher that's been in the system for some 18 years now, a principal, administrator for several years, and past president of the Black Educators Association. From your experience, what would you say are the main educational issues that you're confronting or that are important in your school?
Well, I think that we must deliver a high level of academic achievement or program. So I think parents have a right to question if the quality is not there. I believe that there's been drastic steps or steps that have been made over the past number of years that we're very close to the level where it should be. And we can be compared very positively with any other system in a metropolitan area like the Dartmouth school system or Halifax. What our children receive in the classroom is at the same level that is received by other students in other systems in the province of Nova Scotia. I know this because because we're in a growth area, we have a number of students who come to us from other areas across Canada as well as across Nova Scotia. And those children, our children, achieve at the same level as they do, with all things equal. And our children leave our school and because of transfers, etc., and are very successful at other schools and other systems. So I think that's one thing that we really must realize, that it's an important issue and that we must make that as one of the main priorities. The other thing is that it's very important for people to understand that an integrated environment is and can be a very positive, because it's so rich with the many cultures that one may have within that building or within that community. That's basically what it is. One can learn so much from it. And I know the students in our school are really taking advantage of that situation. And as long as people can understand that everybody basically have the right to be in the school system and to be educated like anyone else, they have a lot to offer. They are as intelligent as the next. They can contribute as well as the next. They also have negative behaviors as the other ones, as another group does. But when you look at all the positive things, and when you come and see an integrated school in action, you will leave the building feeling that it is a good, positive, healthy environment. And I think one issue would be to try to get people to understand that what it used to be, if that's what a stigma has been attached to schools all over the province, that what it used to be, people should come and see what it is. Listen to the kids, listen to what's happening. And I think if you get to that point, then they will feel that their child is receiving the quality of education that they deserve to receive.
Well, now, some might raise some questions with what you said, particularly in terms as it relates to the quality of education. Many people, I've had guests on this program, have raised questions about the quality of education for black students. In your opinion, do you feel that the black students in the Halifax County area, are they doing as well as they should be?
Oh, well, you know, you got to look at our history.
Yes.
And by looking at our history, you realize that over the years, you know, we've been denied many opportunities other people have had, and that just filtered right through the system. And if you look at the institutions years ago, I mean, the teaching resource, the actual materials, the facilities, all these things were at a lower level than most schools, and so therefore there are many things that our children were deprived of over the years. And I mean, I don't want to come across sound like an extreme optimist, but I want to say this, is that, you know, we must understand it's going to take time.
Yes.
It's going to take time for our black children to reach a level, but there are many of our black children who at present are at the same level of any other student.
Yes.
Okay, we must not lose sight of that also. Too many times people refer to the negative aspect, or the negative to the point of our children are not achieving.
Yes.
There are many black children within the school system in the province of Nova Scotia that are achieving at a high academic level,
Yes.
as high as any other student. And we would like to see more, and that's our objective, is to see more. But I can say within the last 5 years, for example, there's been a tremendous improvement in the number of children in our communities who have a very positive attitude and appreciation for education. And as a result, they are trying harder. They see role models. They know they can do the work. The inhibitions that they had and the fears are dwindling much quicker than they were before. So if I look at what happened, the improvement over the last 10 years, I say yes, our children are moving along very well. Our parents are much more involved. Our parents are not just saying that like to see our children do well, but they're also participating in the movement to set up the environment at home and to encourage them at home, and to, when a child's not doing well at school, to come to school and to question why the child's not doing well, and without being radical or aggressive, sit down and talk to the teachers as to what's happening, what they can do to improve it. I think that the move in the schools is trying to get to the outreach program with the community, try to get the community members to feel much more relaxed. Even now we have schools that are going to the communities instead of the communities coming to the school. So yes, I still say there's a great improvement, and I know there's a long ways to go, and it's going to need people like yourself and other black organizations and people within the community, and to keep pushing to make sure that we have the resources that are necessary for the improvements to take place, and also to try to encourage the teachers that are teaching in the school system maintain the high level that they have now, and try to encourage more minority teachers to be involved, so that there's an opportunity for them to rub shoulders with also the black students as well as the white students in the school. Once you start dividing, saying in the integrated environment, that all we think about black students, that is something can be very dangerous. We must have a relationship among all students in the school. And black teachers can relate very well to white students. White teachers can relate very well to black students. And when you start stereotyping and saying because you're white that they're not working well with black students, that is, I think, is a fallacy, because there are many white teachers who do an excellent job working with black students. Naturally, you may have some in the other category, but the same could be true in the other way with black teachers.
Well, Brad, we have to go because we've exhausted our time. I want to thank you for coming in and sharing your views with us. Maybe we can have you back and we can continue this discussion further at some later date.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for watching our program. Join us next week.